Okay, now we go to section 8.2, problems involving dry friction. Okay, so couple of steps to solve equilibrium problems involving the dry friction, right? First, you have, of course, FBD, free body diagrams. Okay, draw this diagram, right? And then here you need to ensure that you show this friction force in the correct direction, right? Otherwise, it will be very tricky to get it right? That's why I said the common sense is this friction force. You can see this, okay? I mean, in reality, if you try to do this test yourself, you try to push something, you cannot see the force. Your hand which your hands which are pushing, you can see that. I mean, you can visualize the force from that, right? But this friction force and normal force, they're not there to be seen, right? It's just the understanding of physics. What to that we know that there is a friction force which oppose the motion, right? So that's why in this case you need to have this common sense on where is the direction of this friction force, and where is the direction of that? It must oppose the direction of motion. All right. You push something, of course, on the block. You push the block. Okay. Of course, the friction force will go the other way around, right? Because it needs to oppose the direction of this block moving, isn't it? Okay, and then you have to determine number of unknowns. Okay, number of unknown means that, for instance, your force, the weight of your block, for instance, and then of course the normal force, and of course the friction force. And we'll see something more about that. I mean the distance, but we're going to show it later. Here, do this. Do not assume that this is the case. F equals to mu Sn. Don't assume this, unless you know or you are given the situation, the condition that there is an impending motion, which means that it starts to move. Which means that here, if you know that it is impending motion, so you can use this Fs equal to Sn. Otherwise, don't say that your F equals to mu Sn. No, don't do that. All right? Unless you know or you are told that impending it is at the condition of impending motion, it's about to move. But I just don't use this mu Sn. All right, and then apply the equation of equilibrium, okay? And appropriate for the equation, if relevant, means that this one means that if you are told that it is in the impending motion condition, right? Only then you can use this friction equation. Otherwise, don't do that. That's it. And solve for the unknowns. Right? Pretty straightforward, right? Okay. So this is again what we are going to elaborate more. The types of friction problems. Okay. In this case, of course, your geometry and dimensions are assumed to be known, right? Like the box, how much is the dimensions? Okay. So we assume that these are known, right? I mean, you should be told about these dimensions, generally speaking. But okay, next, the three types of mechanics problem involving the dry friction. Number one is equilibrium. Okay. Number two is impending motion, which is slipping, which occurs at all points, right? When it slips, it occurs at all points on the bottom surface, right? Number three is impending motion, which is tipping at some points only, or even at a point or some points, whatever. Not all points, right? So now at this point, this is the first time you heard about tipping, right? Because previously we just talked about slipping. We talk about equilibrium, we talk about the slipping, right? But we don't talk about the tipping yet. So we're going to differentiate between them, right? So let's go to the first one, which is equilibrium. For equilibrium, okay, the total number of unknowns and total number of available equilibrium equations are the same, right? And then you will see that later on, if you solve them, you will see your frictional force F, okay, it must satisfy that should be lower than mu Sn. Why? Why is it so? Because if F, okay, more than mu Sn, it means that it's not equilibrium anymore, isn't it? It starts to move, right? So when you what I want to say is that if this is the equation of equilibrium, right? And then you solve that, you got your F, your frictional force. You have to check this F with your mu Sn. Okay. If let's say your F is lower than mu Sn, then that is alhamdulillah. But if it is higher, then that's a problem, which means that actually it is not in equilibrium. You get me? Right? Okay, now we go to the other two, which are both are impending motion, right? But one is slipping and one is tipping. So we look at them individually. What is tipping and what is slipping? All right. So okay, consider this box or wardrobe. I don't know what is this. Okay, the box, the big box. Okay, you see that there is a person pushing right at the top, around the top of the box. Okay. The question is, if this man pushes this box, will this block slide or tip first? Tip. Okay, which one? So that's why actually you need to evaluate which one comes first, right? Because both these are impending motion, right? It starts to move, motion starts to move, but it's either slipping or it starts to tip, or it tips, right? So here, okay, in this case, we have the four unknowns. First is the F. F is from the man, right? F. Number two is the normal force N, right? Number three is, number one is P. This guy is P. Sorry, P is the pushing force, right? Number two is N, the normal force, right? Number three is the F, big F, capital F, which is the frictional force, right? And then number four is X, which is the distance, right? So look at this figure, right? Can you see the P here, right? P is the effort from the man, right? Pushing. There's of course W, weight of the box, which should be given, right? Otherwise we want to change the question. That's different. Sorry, but generally speaking is known, right? The weight of the box, right? And then you have the normal force, right? Of course, because it is contacting with it's supported by the floor, right? And you have the friction force F, right? So how many unknowns now? P and F. Now you have one more unknown, which is X. Why? Because this X shows you the location of this N, right? What is the N again? N is the normal force, right? Of course, actually this normal force, generally speaking, should be kind of not uniform, but it is kind of distributed on the bottom surface, right? But when we do this, we will try to find the equivalent one, which is the N, this consistent one, right? Which will act at a distance X, right, from this center of gravity. Okay, I forgot to mention. Regarding your W, we will act at the center of gravity. That's what you have learned in chapter 9, right? So this N will act at the point which is a distance X from your center of gravity, right? If it is like this, then actually you are making an assumption that the block will slide first, right? Right. But on the other hand, the same thing, you have P, you have F, you have N, right? And then you have X as well. But if, let's say in this case, your X is actually half of that, which means that, I mean, let's put it this way, X equal to B over 2 means that the N is at the edge. You see, the N, X at the edge. So what will happen if this is the case? The box will tip first, right? See, this box, it tips at the point, at this point, that N-X point, right? So these are the two possible impending motion situations, right? One is slipping, and one is tipping. You see the difference? The X, right? If it is slipping, the X should be between, the x is between x equal to 0 to x equal to b over 2, which means that the n will be in between the length, isn't it? But in the case of tipping, the x equals to b over 2, x equals to b over 2, which means that the n acts at the edge, right? So that's what it tips, right? So whatever assumption here, you need to check whether this assumption, if you, for instance, if you assume that it slides first, then you do this, and then you have to check whether this assumption is correct. Same goes to if you assume tipping occurs first, you need to check whether it is correct, right? So how do you check that? Then this is how we check. If you assume slipping occurs first, you know that because you said that slipping occurs first, so your frictional force F is mu Sn, right? And then you solve for this x, p, and n. X is the distance again, p is your effort, n is your normal force, and then you have to check, in particular this x. The x must be between x equal to 0 to x equal to b over 2, isn't it? Means that this x is between 0 to b over 2, the n should be in between this, isn't it? Right? While on the other hand, if you assume tipping occurs, right, what will happen in this case? You know x equals to b over 2. This time you know x equals to b over 2, right? Because when tipping occurs, you know that n should act at the edge here, right? And then you solve for this, and then you check. You check this, your frictional force F must be less than mu Sn. Remember here, your F is not mu Sn, okay? In tipping, your F is not mu Sn. It should be lower than mu Sn. So don't do F equal to mu Sn into equation. No, it's wrong, right? In the previous one, in the slipping, yes, you use F equal to mu Sn. But in tipping, you don't use F equal to mu Sn. You have to find yourself F from the equation of equilibrium, and then you check. If your F, your frictional force F, is less than mu Sn, which is the limiting Fs, right? The Fs, the limiting static frictional force, then your assumption of tipping occurs first is correct. All right? Now we look at the one example here, right? We have this crate. Okay, this crate weighs 550 Newton, right? And then the coefficient of static friction US is 0.4. Sorry, I'm not sure what happened with this mouse because of the surface here. Okay, 0.4. What does it mean by that? Okay, by the way, it's not in this problem, but what does it mean by 0.4? Means this from between this material, all right, this material of the box or the crate with you can see your floor. Okay, it looks like a granular floor. You have the 0.4, right? They have done an experiment and they report to you that between these two materials, they have the 0.4 coefficient of static friction, right? Just a side note. And then the question asks you to find what is the maximum P, okay, pushing load P that can be applied without causing movement of the crate, all right? So you just have to find what is P max in this case. And you have to be careful here. The question asks you to find this, okay, P max, without causing movement of the crate. Like I said, in this case, there are two impending motions, right? There are two types of possible impending motions. One is sliding, and one is tipping. And they have different free body diagrams, right? So you need to evaluate them one by one. We need to make assumptions. So the plan here is first draw the free body diagram of the box, okay, and determine the unknowns, okay, and then make your friction assumptions, all right? And then of course you apply the equations of equilibrium, okay, and then you solve the unknowns, and then you check for the assumptions if required. In this case, what they do is we do this free body diagram. What is this? It is for slipping, right? This is for slipping, which in this case the n is applied at the x distance from the center of gravity. Okay, basically at G, okay, at the center you have this weight, right, and then you have P, and you have force, frictional force, sorry, F, and you have a normal force N, and of course you have this normal force N. It acts at the distance x from the center of gravity, like I said. And then if you put like this, not at this edge, okay, not x equals to 0.445 in this case. So it means that now we assume that it slips. slipping occurs first, right? And then here, when you assume this, okay, first you know that these formulas that I mentioned, right? And then you say that, okay, now I want to evaluate for slipping, right? Slipping occurs first. So you can use this equation, frictional force F equals to mu Sn. In this case, mu S is 4, right? Mu S is 4, so mu Sn, N is, N is not Newton here, N is the normal force. Right? And then you do the equilibrium, Fx to 0, you see you have P minus 0.4 N, which is, this is F, right? P minus F equals 0. And then you do Fy equals 0, you have the 1 to 50 plus N, which is the normal force. And then from these two equations, you can solve this, right? Because you have P and N only. Of course, your N will be 1250 Newton, right? And then your P will be 500 Newton in this case. And then what do we have to check in this case? I mean, this P is your P max, by the way. P max equal to 500 Newton. But you have to check whether this condition, this situation really occurs. So you have to check. How do you check? You do moment about point O here, right? You do moment about point O. So you have this P times 1.35, okay? And then you have this N times X, right? So you have this. Of course, you have to check plus and minus Y, okay? The clockwise and anti-clockwise direction, right? And then you solve for X, you get this X equal to 0.54. Pause and think. X equals to 0.54. Is it possible? Just imagine. X equals, where is my mouse? X equals to 0 is at here, right? X equal to 0.45 is here, right? X equal to 0.54, it should be here. Which means that your X is this, while your, look at the bottom, right? And the N is here, which is not on the body. Is it possible? It's impossible, right? So what does it mean by this? By this calculation, what kind of conclusion you can conclude? It means that slipping does not occur. Understand that? Because when you do this, although you got those values, but when you got your X, you see that your X is actually bigger than the line itself. It cannot be. Simply means slipping does not occur first. In this case, slipping does not occur, right? Having said that, we go back to the second assumption. So you know, because slipping does not occur, you know that tipping occurs. All right. So your correct free body diagram is N is applied at the edge, right? This is the second one. And then you do this free body diagram, and then you solve for the equation of equilibrium, Fx 0, F equals 0. Fx 0, you have this, and then you solve for this, because tipping occurs first, then you have P equals to F. Okay, and then you have your normal force equal to 1250 Newton, right? And then you do the moment about point O, okay? And then of course, in this case, this is your X, right? It's your X 0.45. Okay, you do moment, you have P times 1.35. Of course, check my plus and minus here for the rotation of the moment, whether it's counterclockwise. And then N, your N here is 1 to 50, right? Times the 0.45, which is the X, okay? And then 0, and then you got this P equals to, P max equals to 417 Newton, and your F is 416.7 Newton, right? From this. Of course, they are the same. So you have to check, okay? Again, though actually you have dismissed the idea of sliding, now you are evaluating the idea of tipping, you still need to check. When you got your frictional force, what is the condition? The condition, your frictional force must be less than mu Sn, right? Must be less than mu Sn. Why? Because mu Sn is the Fs, the maximum static frictional force, right? It should be less than that. Okay, mu Sn is 500, right? From before, not from before. I mean, mu S is 0.4, right? From the question, 0.4. Okay, S is 0.4, and then the N, you got your N as right? Okay, 1 to 50. So 1 to 50 times 0.4 is 500 Newton. So Alhamdulillah, in this case, your friction force F is less than mu Sn, which means that is correct. This assumption is correct, which means that this block, when you apply load like that with this kind of configuration, right, it will tip first on the slide. Okay. Okay. We have another one. For this, I think you can try to read yourself, okay, regarding this and try to understand, right? And then we will go to I'll upload the videos for F81, 81, this one as well, 3, 4, okay, some tutorials on this, right? And then that's the end of your chapter 8 dry friction, okay.